Welcome back to the Post TV Season 4, Episode 6. I'm Abby Heide.
And I'm Haley Mitchell. On this special election episode, we'll be discussing the 2024 election, how students felt about their voting, and what issues mattered most to them. There was a large turnout of students and Athens residents this year. Many chose to vote absentee or vote early to vote on issues that mattered most to them. With ballot boxes being burned around the country, this has raised safety concerns for Athens voters. It's important for first-time voters to be armed with the information they need to have a hassle-free voting experience.
Yes, please vote and make sure that you bring your driver's license or ID. You can't just use your college ID. We're one of the few states in the country that won't allow students to use a college ID, even ones with a picture on it.
OU students will be able to go to Baker Center on Tuesday to vote. There will also be 10 different voting stations around Athens County, and you can check which area you are registered to vote at the Ohio Secretary of State's website.
Any first-time voter should not be afraid to show up at the polls and vote. If they are reluctant to vote in person, then they should vote absentee.
While it's too late to request an absentee ballot, it is not too late to fill out one and turn it in if you already have one. Unease has spiked about absentee voting after a recent trend of ballot drop boxes being set on fire in 3 different states last week.
Didn't want to vote on election day due to the fear of what could happen on that day. There is supposed to be a lot of unplanned events possibly happening.
The Election Protection Organization will be at every polling booth in Athens on Election Day.
I mean, really, in Athens County, we have not had any issues in the past. I don't anticipate any issues right now. But I do have to tell you, we do have a whole crew of people, that's the election protection sign right there, who've been trained to deal with any issues that come up. And so if somebody has any questions, or if they at all feel unsafe or uncomfortable, there will be someone to help with that.
They are a nonpartisan group that does not affiliate with any political party, and they will be there to answer any questions about voting. You can also call their phone number, 866-OUR-VOTE, to get access to any information you're seeking before Election Day.
Voters made their way to the polls on Election Day to practice their 15th Amendment right. With this being such a historical election, many voters were passionate to tell our Post staff their thoughts on the candidates and the important issues.
On November 5th, the streets of Athens were filled with citizens practicing their right to vote. Students especially showed enthusiasm to fulfill their civic duty, as this is many students' first time voting. While all elections are undoubtedly important, voters express this one seems to be personal.
I'm just trying to get Senator Sherrod Brown reelected. My dad's a disabled war vet, and when he was in the Middle East, he was exposed to toxic burn pits that permanently disabled him. Sherrod Brown wrote and passed the Honoring Our Pact Act to make sure that we're actually taking care of veterans that the U.S. government disabled. Not only that, from Chillicothe, there's a VA hospital there. It was due to be closed under Trump administration cuts, but Sherrod Brown worked like hell to keep it open. And that's really important for my family. It's really important for my community. And I'm out here to say thanks to Sherrod Brown.
Climate issue really has to be number one because it overrides and is affecting everything else in the decision making. All of our decision makers must look at this with the most seriousness of effort. And it's not being taken as serious as it should because we're still burning coal. We're drilling for oil and gas like crazy. We're trying to do hydrogen, which is not a renewable resource. We're trying to stick this stuff in the ground, which is leaking out and affecting people's waters. And, lives are depending on the best decisions possible. We're going to lose whole populations of people around the world. And the people who are making these decisions are sitting in air-conditioned offices. They're getting in air-conditioned cars. They're sitting with all these nice lighting and fixtures, and they've got enough money to buy what it is that they need to buy. And there's half the world that is starving and going to be pushed out of their homes, either from the heat, from the drought, from the hurricanes, from the floods. So, we're talking about the most serious issue this country and the world has ever faced.
In fact, some voters voiced they are scared for the results, with many important topics on the ballot.
I feel like there's a lot of big issues on this election, and I feel like with how close it is, I feel like my voice actually kind of matters. So I felt like it was important enough to actually get out and do it. I think we see a growing division between the left and the right, um, and I think we're just getting more and more extreme on both sides. So I think it's more important now more than ever to say what you want, because like if you don't get what you want, it's going to be drastically different.
Many people say they
I think I decided to vote this election because I'm finally old enough to vote, and I feel like it's such like a historical like election to where like our vote really does matter.
I think that too. That was like my main point. It's everybody's talking about it. It's like strained on if you vote or not. So I thought it was important. We already had like Hillary and Trump. I think now because we have Kamala, we have like more people rallying for her, and there's like more of an ability for her to win.
I realized I voted not what I wanted to have voted on issue one. And then I saw all this stuff about how they had, at the last minute, pushed through the different language. And that was so tricky of them to have done that. Yeah, I mean, it feels like there's more at stake this time. And it feels also like this is maybe the first time it feels like even when there's a winner, we're not necessarily done.
As the results continue to come in, President Donald Trump is the projected winner of the 2024 presidential election.
Another win for the Republican Party was in the U.S. Senate. Bernie Moreno has unseated incumbent Senator Sherrod Brown for the U.S. Ohio Senate seat. Moreno clinched the race with 50.5% of the votes to beat Brown. He has an extensive background in business and has been endorsed by President Trump. Moreno endorses a ban on late-term abortions, protecting Second Amendment rights, and creating term limits for members of Congress. Part of Moreno's success may be attributed to his fresh face in politics, compared to Brown, who hasn't lost an election since 1975, when he was first elected as a state representative. Brown has delivered his concession speech, and Moreno has made his victory speech.
You can head to thepostathens.com to check out the latest podcast episode, What Goes Unsaid, with Clara, Daphne, and Susie. They talked to Logan Barnes about his experience as an LGBTQ plus student.
Hey guys, this is Susie.
And this is Daphne.
And this is Clara.
And this is What Goes Unsaid.
And we have a very, very, very special guest with us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Go Log.
Hello everyone, I am Logan. So a couple weekends ago,
I'm gonna tuck myself in. I'm so excited for this.
I was out at the bars and I was at Stevens and I was with a group and I had walked away and like I had looked over to my right and saw like a bunch of, I'm gonna call them country bumpkins per se.
Right. I've never read that before.
I'm gonna call them country bumpkins. And some
I see it in my head.
Yes. You know, like the cutoffs with the flannel.
Yeah, right.
So I like had noticed them and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like walk away. Like I'm gonna walk away. And I like walked up to the annex of Stevens. I walked down. I'm like really good friends with the bar manager there at Stevens and also some of the other workers. And I like walked down there like screaming at these like country bumpkins. Like they're getting into a full fight. Like the manager's like telling them get out. And I like asked one of the workers, I'm like, what is going on right here? Like I just walked away. Like I was gone for 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
They were like, well, one of the workers was like, well, when you walked away, they had called you the F. Like the
Are
slur.
you kidding?
The slur. And I was like, which I mean, it was kind of like cute. I was like, oh my gosh, like people are defending me. Like, oh my God, that's so cute. But then I was like, but wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah, like
I was
what?
Like I walk away for 5 minutes and what happens?
Coming up, we have a story about election watch parties in Athens and a story about issue 1 not passing. But first, here's Adriana with sports.
Hi everyone, I'm Adriana Reed. The women's soccer team will take on number 2 Buffalo today for the MAC quarterfinals. They did lose to them earlier in the season, but they hope this could be different. They're coming off of a win against number 6 Bowling Green, 1-0. Ella Devers scored the only goal, assisted by Aubrey Ray. In the goal, Celeste Saloma had 2 saves to make this her 10th shutout of the season. Volleyball will also take on Buffalo this week. They're home tomorrow with a start time of 6 p.m. Their senior night is Saturday at 3 p.m., so make sure to show up to the Convo and support the seniors. The field hockey team has lost to third-ranked Miami in the MAC quarterfinals. They end their season 7-11. Men's basketball is coming off of a loss from the start of the season earlier this week against JMU. Their home opener is Saturday night as they take on University of North Carolina, Asheville at 7 p.m. This women dive team last competed against Illinois State and won 273 to 139. The team travels to Miami for Battle of the Bricks on Saturday at 1 p.m. The wrestling team is on the road again after defeating Big Ten Wisconsin. The Bobcats are competing at the 2024 Michigan State Open this Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Transferring into local news, Athens High School stays alive in the Ohio High School Athletic Association football playoffs. They will take on Steubenville in Steubenville this Friday at 7 p.m. Good luck to all the Bobcats and Bulldogs competing this week. Have a great day and even better tomorrow. Now let's head back to the desk with Abby and Haley.
Local bars uptown and events sponsored by the OU Center for Student Engagement and Leadership organized watch parties on election night. Students and local officials were encouraged to stop by and get educated on the live polling updates.
As the election results are ongoing, an election watch party was held on the first floor of Baker Center. Students from both parties came together with their eyes glued anxiously to the screen. Students tell us why voting is important to them and why a watch party can be a safe space for conversations about the U.S. elections.
Even though we all have different views on life, we can come together and sit in an environment and consume the media together. I think so often in society, we're so used to having things divided or being forced to put labels on things, that being able to come together for an hour, 2 hours, or whatever it may be, and consume some media and stuff that we're all passionate about learning and hearing more about is really inspiring for the future that's to come.
This has been such a thoroughly intriguing and very polarizing election. There's been so much discourse on it, and I'm curious to see where everyone is at, and just I'm curious to see everyone's reactions.
Voting is important to me because it gives everyone a say in the issues that ultimately affect them, and it allows them to advocate for what they believe in.
Other watch parties were held at local bars in Athens. At Crystal, students and officials gathered together to watch the ongoing election. Student voices have become a forefront of this election, and students express why they voted.
I also got to go home to Columbus and cast my vote, and I think we're all excited, nervous.
Praying for a better economy.
Yeah, better economy and
more stability.
And make America great again.
I really hope that through everyone's efforts and voting the right way, hopefully, will restore people's faith in who America is. America has always been open and accepting of other people, and that's what makes us rich. And I'm talking about not rich monetarily, but rich in living well.
Pigskin had a watch party held by the Athens Democratic Organization, where many people gathered to voice their opinions on why this election is one of the most important ones we've had.
We're given this amazing, country that we live in, and we get to help pick our leaders, and that's something that not everybody around the world gets to do.
I am hearing there are so many young women voting this election. That is so exciting to me, because that's what makes a difference. We think democracy, we take it for granted, but you have to stay on top of it because people will try and dismantle it.
Well, everybody's got to vote. You don't vote, you don't have a choice. You don't have a say, right? I mean, doesn't everybody want to be in the room where the decisions happen? Well, on election day, everywhere is the room where the decisions happen. So you got to vote. It's just critically important.
The election watch parties allowed for a productive and respectful atmosphere where anyone can stay up to date and involved in politics.
Another important issue was on the ballot to end gerrymandering. Issue 1 failed to win the majority of votes needed to pass in Ohio. The issue would have banned politicians and lobbyists from involvement in the state redistricting process and banned partisan gerrymandering. The amendment aimed to create a nonpartisan redistricting commission to create fair district lines, where the citizens would be drawing the maps. Issue 1 garnered a lot of support here in Athens County, with an estimated 54% of the county voting in its favor. However, the support in Athens alone was not enough to pass Issue 1.
5 different county tax levies and issues were on the ballot in Athens County. Athens citizens voted to pass all of them. The 2 popular ones are liquor now being sold on Sundays and more funding for the libraries. With 93.04% of voters in favor, Ward 3 Precinct 1 will allow Union Street Market to sell hard liquor on Sundays. A replacement tax levy and increase regarding Athens County Libraries system passed countywide. This will provide libraries with extra funding to upkeep their services. While funding for the libraries could increase Athens County taxes, the Athens City Auditor says the services provided will benefit the community by providing accessible resources. She says it's hard sometimes for people to add to their taxes, but services cost money. These are all things that locals want.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Make sure to follow us on our socials. We are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X at The Post Athens and The Post Multimedia.
You can check out these full-length videos and more on our website, thepostathens.com. Election season can be a hard time for people, so no matter the results, be sure to take care of yourself. We'll see you next time, Bobcats.